Okay, so basically it looks like nice picture, very nice pose, by the way. But I just wanted to let you know that you have a case of the backlighting on his face. So it's really bright back here, and so it causes the shadow. So the first thing I would do is I would create a second layer, which is Command J or Control J. And then I'd hide this layer just because you always want that as a backup. Next thing I would do is since you like the sky and you don't want to lose it, I would zoom in, control plus or minus is really how that works, just so I can get closer because I don't want to lose any detail. It was a little bit fuzzy. I don't know how much detail we'll get in there, but the other thing we can do is see how that changes with the lighting change. So what I really want to do first is go into my quick selection tool, and the magnetic lasso tool might work for this. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to pretty much go around his hair. And I'm going to do his face because his shirt looks pretty decent. And then close it. So it makes the selection so that I'm not going to lose the sky if I need to lose, if I need to do some edits. Let's back out a minute. And then what I'm going to do is, I always like to go to image, adjust brightness and contrast first just to see sort of what can happen with that. We can adjust the color in a little while. It looks like there may have been a little bit too much contrast. We don't want to mess with the brightness too much because we'll blow it out, meaning that it'll just be too exposed. So we'll back down. I'm going to cancel out of there just because I'm not sure that's really working. So I'm going to go back up to image, adjust, levels, because I have a little bit more control over some of that in levels. See, that's a little softer, which is nice. And you could still, it still works with the contrast. For example, if I were to go like this, I can still get a little bit of contrast in there. But at least that brightens up his face a little bit. But we don't want it to look like it's unreal. Brighten it just to about there. Say OK. And now I'm going to go to image, adjust brightness and contrast because I do want a little bit of contrast. Brighten, contrast that up. And we can get that red out of there in just a moment. Say OK. Back up. I'm going to save this path. This selection is actually a path. So if I go to Window, Paths, I want to save it in case I want to go back to it. So new path, path 1. We'll just say Tony's. Okay. And then say OK. And so then we'll save the path. We'll make a work path first. And tolerance is good at 0.5. So I have that here in case I need to go back to it. Now I'm just going to bump back to layers and then go here. I don't really want that path selected right now. I need to go see sort of how that worked, and it looks like it really affected the edges. So I'm going to see what else I can do here because that really affected the edges here. So I'm going to take that away, what we just did. Okay. So now the other option, I'm still can go back to what I just did just to make sure, and I can smooth it out around the edges, but first I'm going to try something else. I'm going to do the dodge tool. And using your brackets, your left and right back bracket, you can actually enlarge the brush. And I'm going to dodge his face here, but I want to make sure too, if it's at 125, that it's actually got a little feathering to it, and it looks like it does, so that's good. The range are at midtones, and the exposure, I don't want it full exposure. 50% is just good enough. So I'm going to go here and just dodge it a little bit. And this can get tricky too. It can leave some weird residual weird colors. So I'm just going to keep going back around his face. And every time you lift up, it sort of does more. So I'm going to go back and do it again. And again, it's got a little bit of feathering, so that's a good thing. I'm going to do his hair just a little bit too. And again, I really don't want to do too much because it can leave some really weird residual tones. Let's see. Okay, and now the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my paths. Oh, darn, I got rid of that path. So I can redo the path here. Okay, make work path. And anytime you have a path, I can just Command or Control click, and then it makes it active. Now I want to get rid of some of that orangey red tones, so Image, Adjust, Color Balance. Color balance, you can kind of work with the midtones, the highlights, and the shadows, and I'm going to take away some of that red. And then take away a little bit of the yellow. Then do the same for the highlights, see if that works at all. Looks a little better. I am concerned at the resolution or how the detail, lack of detail that was shot, because that could be sort of a issue. There's not really any way to recapture that, but that looks really nice, I think, considering. But that's how I would fix this first one. I'm wondering now if I may have dodged the front part here just a little bit too much. You can always go back in and burn it and get really close. And then, of course, make sure you're on the burn tool. You could burn it back in if you needed to. And then if you go back to your layers, you can kind of see, of course, I did a Command Z on all of mine from before, so we don't have that second layer anymore. But I can open up, I can save this and then open up the old one and see the difference. See desktop, we'll do Tony Revised. And let me see, if I go to image size, I see that it's only 72 dpi, so that could be why too. It wasn't shot at a very high resolution, which there's no way to get that to be high resolution. That's why it's so fuzzy. So that could be the problem altogether. But anyway, let me go into the actual original photo you sent me. Image. We'll do this. Open. Okay, so this is the actual photo, and I'm going to pull this away. I'm going to pull it right on top of this other one. Back out. So there's the difference there. It's a little bit too contrasted up there, and I can work on that a little longer. I'm about to lose my video time right now, but I can make that a little bit smoother and perfect that if you want me to. Just let me know what you think, but that is where I would start on that. And I think we could also maybe adjust some of the tones in the shirt as well. Otherwise, there are ways you can get around it without adjusting the sky. And that's how I would start, but I would go a lot slower. But that's just for your information. Hopefully that helps. I'll upload this and I'm going to get on to the next one as well. Okay?